Hello, my darlings. I'm Seren Briar, and welcome to BiteNotes, the recap show for the Vampire, the Masquerade Chronicle, ATL by night. Tonight, we look back at Season 3, Chapters 5 and 6, and the first of our vignettes. Now, let's sit back, relax, and recap a vampire story. Chapter 5, To Rest Upon a Mountain. In the week since meeting Alima, Thomasina has recovered from her premonition. Melisande awakes to find that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of her touchstones, has died. Thomasina finds her visibly distraught in her room, papers strewn everywhere but on her desk. Thomasina tries to take her mind off of it by focusing on work and gathers everyone to talk about her vision and the other candidates. The coterie doesn't come to any conclusions about Thomasina's vision, but Anton assures them all that the problem with premonitions is that you can't really figure out what it meant until what it foretold has already happened, so they shouldn't let it drive their decisions too much. In the aftermath of her touchstone's passing, Mel wants to revise her platform to focus on rooting out the Second Inquisition, rather than making sure everyone in the city has a voice. She also wants Alejandro exterminated. Mark has discovered that the Second Inquisition facility is completely trashed, and they're moving to a new one, although he hasn't been able to figure out where that is. Anton and Aaron show Thomasina the plastinated statues of the Giovanni women, and once Hex joins them, they take 5 of the bodies to the back of the property, intending to place them at the gravesite mentioned in the ledger. Melisande stays at the house. The shepherds reach a dense tree line, and Aaron turns on Oblivion Sight to check for any ghosts. He sees through the trees a grouping of shadow that's moving. Hex grabs one of the bodies, and they head to check it out. What looked like a short walk feels like it takes forever, but eventually they come to a large oval clearing surrounded by stone bricks. At the back of the clearing, the stones stack up to an altar. There are no headstones or markers of any kind. 4 lampposts around the area flicker to life as the coterie approaches, but there doesn't seem to be any sort of technological sensor on the lights. Anton tries Spirit's touch on one of the lampposts, but gains nothing. A surge of electricity causes the light to pop and explode. The trees begin to sway as if they're blowing in the wind, although the air remains still. The shepherds are pelted with stones and rocks. Hex attempts to shield them all with Obfuscate as Aaron grabs the statue they brought.
Oh, wait, what?
It sounds like the wind starts to cut through the trees, but as it gets closer, it gets louder as sound races past your ear and past it again. The sounds of the wind becoming screams, and the screams get louder and louder as they start to become discernible as intrusa.
Oh no.
Intrusa!
I don't speak this language.
We gotta go.
Keeping them from yelling so we don't break on the same passage.
The screams get louder, and you begin to hear the screams of a man dying, begging for his life. Anton, please take 2 superficial damage.
Would rapid reflexes have any bearing on that?
Yes.
Alright.
You manage to miss as one of the stones from the grave circle comes flying at you.
Alright. Just a fast duck. Thank you.
The sound of the man screaming for his life gets louder and closer. The lights around the circle begin to surge and fall and surge and fall.
Aaron sees 4 very angry wraiths around them. one clinging to a lamppost, one in the trees, one among the rocks, and one sitting at the edge of the clearing, looking directly at him, furious. He watches as the furious wraith crawls along the ground towards Hex, up her body and into her. Hex's vision goes dark. She's no longer in control. A voice comes out of her, older and not hers, and yells at the shepherds to get out of his house. Hex claws at Anton's face, and Eren steps between her and the rest of his coterie. This close, he can see the outline of the wraith's face imposed under hers. Antonio Rossellini, Mooney's husband. Antonio reaches out Hex's hands and grips Eren's throat. He manages to break away and sees 3 more wraiths emerging from the tree line. Thomasina grabs the statue, and she and Eren run. Anton grabs Hex and drags her, Antonio still screaming from inside. He tries to fight Eren off until they cross the tree line, and suddenly Hex comes back to herself. Eren sees Antonio fade back into the trees. They're hurt and shaken, but safe. Hex doesn't remember anything that happened while she was possessed. She just feels a little empty. When they return to the house, Eren sees the 2 house ghosts waiting outside the garage. He asks them where they should put the plastinated bodies. After that whole ordeal, it's clear they can't go to the gravesite. With the help of a book, the ghosts manage to communicate that the women should be sent to Italy. Proctor has arrived at the shepherd's home. She's obviously come at a bad time and can tell they have a wraith problem by the residual marks on Eren's neck that only she can see. She offers her warding capabilities to the coterie so they can have some protection from hostile wraiths, but will leave one of the entrances to the home alone for the house ghosts. The real reason Proctor is here is to deliver an invitation, and she gives it to Melisande. It's from Alejandro, asking them all to meet him at a Waffle House for a conversation. Proctor knows that none of them understand what her plan with Alejandro is, but asks them to trust her and go along with it, or it's not going to work. That means going to a Waffle House with him. As Prince Talbot said, they're all equal in the eyes of Waffle House. He'd designated them all as neutral ground between any supernatural creatures, and until Atlanta has a new prince, those Elysiums still stand. The shepherds agree to attend, but they're not particularly happy about it. Vignette 1. Fall from Grace. Cirrus receives a new mission from Dot. She wants him to steal one of Olivia Grace's journals from October 1962. Whatever information it contains has to do with Elijah's embrace. Neither of the Graces have ever made that information known, and since Elijah is a candidate for Prince, Dot wants it. Cirrus sneaks into Grace Manor, locates the journal in Olivia's office, and rips out the relevant pages. He delivers them to Dot immediately. The pages contain an account of what happened to Olivia and Elijah Grace one night in October 1962. A few months prior, a flight containing over 100 members of the Atlanta Art Association crashed in France. Olivia Grace, played by special guest Goblin Kate, is fundraising to construct an art center in their memory. Elijah Grace, her ghouled human son, played by special guest Thranduart, will, as always, accompany her. Tonight, they are fundraising at the High Museum. The Louvre has sent the painting Whistler's Mother for a temporary exhibition, and it will be unveiled at this event. Gustav, a hideous bat-like Nosferatu, played by special guest Mark Meer, has come to Atlanta seeking to embrace a man named Gerard Baudelaire, the curator sent with Whistler's Mother. The Nosferatu primogen, Dottie, known in the present day as Dot Matrix, has given Gustav a place to stay while he is in town. At the fundraiser, Olivia and Gustav separately make the acquaintance of Gerard Baudelaire, both asking to speak with him privately later on. Olivia and Elijah also make Gustav's acquaintance, though he is disguised and introduces himself under a false generic name. After the painting's reveal, Olivia leads Monsieur Baudelaire off so they can have their private conversation. Gustav follows, unseen. As Olivia prepares to embrace Gerard, Gustav reveals his presence.
Sounds mystical.
It is very mystical. It is, and she's going to run her finger up his arm. It is one of the most beautiful and primal exercises in all of existence.
And he does take notice and raises his eyebrows. Mademoiselle Grace, this is most forward.
I am a very forward woman, if I am anything.
I can appreciate such forwardness.
Mr. Baudelaire, to put it bluntly, I am not among the mortal court. I am what is poetically referred to as a creature of the night.
That is quite poetic terms.
I would like to grant you eternal life as one of my children.
I do not believe I understand what you mean.
Allow me to show you. And she will... Oh!
And suddenly from behind a statue steps Mr. Johann Schmidt.
Ah, there you are, Herr Baudelaire. Ah, it's a beautiful lady, of course. Yeah,
Monsieur Smith.
I wondered where you had gotten off to, huh?
Your timing, Mr. Schmidt, is impeccable.
Yeah, I am often told this. I wonder, Fräulein, might I have a word with you?
Of course.
I...
Could you pardon us for just a moment, Mr. Baudelaire? Do
Yes.
enjoy.
Yes, of
Setting.
course. I will give you your space. And he steps away
Yes.
to look at the display.
Ah, Fräulein, I am so sorry to interrupt you. I could not help but overhear the wonderful things you were promising to our friend.
Mm.
I think you should know that I got here first, yeah?
I see.
Yeah, I have, how is it you Americans say? I have the dibs.
It occurs to me that I am, in fact, the one who invited him here. Therefore, my dibs supersede your own.
Ah, then I am the one at fault. Oh, Fräulein, my apologies to you. I had no intention of poaching in your private preserve, as you say.
Much appreciated. And may I ask, have you made yourself known in the city?
Of course. Do you take me for a barbarian?
I can only assume that you've given me a false name, sir.
You may call me Gustav, Fräulein.
Ultimately, Gustav relents, and Gerard Baudelaire accepts Olivia's offer. Gustav is offended by Olivia stealing his target. He leaves the High Museum and begins plotting, but not before subtly damaging Whistler's mother with a claw. Olivia's evening, on the other hand, has been a resounding success. With their business settled, Elijah wants to go and party. Olivia chaperones, and Elijah indulges himself in his human vices. When he is away from his mother and the drugs he took have kicked in, Gustav abducts Elijah. He takes him bound, gagged, and blindfolded to a half-finished construction site and reveals his true monstrous face. Olivia denied something to Gustav, and now he will make her pay. Elijah will become a constant reminder of her own failure and greed. Gustav orders another young kindred to embrace Elijah. Elijah struggles and protests, but to no avail. His whole world goes dark. As the night grows late, Olivia realizes she cannot find her son. Through the bond that they shared, she locates him at the construction site. She finds Elijah lying on the ground, blood on his neck. He's colder, his skin paler, his breathing shallow but still there. Olivia rushes to her son and shakes him awake. He asks her what she's done and looks around frantically for Gustav. From the shadows, Gustav laughs. He hopes that Olivia enjoys his little gift of vengeance. As Olivia rages at Gustav, he slips away silently. As revenge against his mother from a vindictive and slighted man, Elijah Grace is now a thin blood. Chapter 6. Dine with the Devil. In the days leading up to their meeting with Alejandro, Thomasina and Anton have been researching how to get the plastinated Giovanni women's bodies to Italy. Mel has found a new touchstone, Georgia politician Stacey Abrams. Aaron is anxious about confronting Alejandro. Hoping that some good news might help ease his mind, Anton Googles obituaries and discovers that Officer Stella, Aaron's former blood dealer and member of the Second Inquisition, died in the gas leak at the facility. Hexadecimal also checks the police department's cameras and tells Aaron that his friend Patrick is alive and doing very well. Aaron's relieved. Remembering that Thomasina was also controlled during their confrontation with Catherine, Hex asks her about how to deal with it. She feels guilty for hurting her friends, but Thomasina assures her that no one blames her, and she has to figure out for herself how to move on and survive. Before their meeting with Alejandro, Melisande reminds everyone to be on their best behavior. Waffle Houses are Elysium, after all. As they enter the Waffle House, everything looks normal. It's sticky and smells like burnt bacon. Alejandro is sitting by himself in a larger booth. The shepherds tentatively join him, and Hex put Lady Gaga's Alejandro on the jukebox. It turns out that Alejandro, played by special guest Lucas Ryan, is a big fan of Lady Gaga's artistry. He appreciates Hex's choice of song. Surprisingly, Alejandro's fairly empathetic and funny and extremely intelligent. He seems genuinely pleased to just have the chance to talk to the coterie. Alejandro attempts to explain his decisions. Starting in 1999, the Inquisition targeted him, breaking into his home by the dozens. A man gave him an offer. Join them, and the attacks would stop. Alejandro refused, and the Inquisition burned his home to the ground. This continued for months. Alejandro would try to hide, but every time, the Inquisition found him and overwhelmed his home. And every time, the same man, some kind of director, would make him the same offer. Humans and other kindred who helped Alejandro try to stay hidden all perished. He realized that they could have captured him at any point during the day if they wanted, but they were choosing to run him down mentally and emotionally. Eventually, Alejandro decided if he couldn't beat them, he'd change tactics. So he took the man's offer. He wanted to try and change the Inquisition from the inside, directly interfering with their plans. Anton is skeptical of the timeline, since to his knowledge, the Second Inquisition wasn't in Atlanta until the mid-2000s. Alejandro doesn't know why he was targeted, and had specifically tried to keep to himself since he came to America after World War II. Proctor and the other Primogen are all aware of Alejandro's ongoing work with the Second Inquisition. His platform is simple: for Atlanta to become a sanctuary city, where kindred will be safe from the Inquisition's terror. If elected, he will champion an agreement between the Second Inquisition and the kindred of Atlanta. Alejandro admits he doesn't really want to be prince at all. All he wants is to be allowed to live quietly and undisturbed. He's seen so much suffering in his life already, he doesn't want to see any more. The shepherds aren't on board with Alejandro's proposals, but they do manage to behave themselves. Thomasina understands Alejandro's motivations, but thinks that although his intentions are good, making an agreement with the Inquisition won't stop them from doing harm. Anton is surprised to find himself sympathizing with Alejandro's story.
Aaron, how are you feeling?
I want so bad to just claw Alejandro, but I made a promise to Mel, and Olivia drills the Elysium's importance.
Yes,
Day one.
she does.
If I can cut in real quick, I realize you were alone, but we're not. I realize you were taken and no one came for you, but we are building that together, and if there's a fight to happen, you don't win a fight by bowing down. If you're a prisoner in war, you don't take boons, you don't give in. You've done so much damage to us by just being there. And I don't think that's helping. I don't think that should be helping. Sorry, it's
No, actually,
too much.
No, you've touched on a very important point. I was very nervous about this whole situation. I was nervous about you. I had thought about different ways that you might die, I will admit. I had not quite decided yet. I had a whole anecdote prepared about pride, but gosh, I actually sympathize with you now, because I see that we have had such similar histories in this short amount of time, these past 2 decades of our homes being upset and terrifying things stalking us, rolling the streets, feeling that the enemy is impossible to overcome. The main difference, though, is, as Aaron said, you were alone. I had people with me, and during this ordeal we had each other with us, and I can't help but think, and please do not take this as an insult, I can't help but think that if you had somebody with you, this could have been avoided. And I see now that this is not the terrifying action that I thought it was. This is fear.
As Alejandro exits, he leaves his black leather journal on the table. A young woman in a black car drives him away. While everyone discusses the meeting they just had, Aaron is compelled to take Alejandro's journal and read it. Once they arrive home, he finds a shadowy corner and uses the stylus attached to the journal to send a message. Thank you for tuning in to BiteNotes. Remember, liking, commenting, and subscribing does not violate the Masquerade. You can view full episodes of ATL by Night on our YouTube channel. We stream Tuesdays at twitch.tv/ATL by Night. Remember to support our Patreon and follow us on Twitter. Until next time, good night.